Hello all, I hope you're all doing well. We are continuing with our weekly portion review, and this week we are in Ve'et Hanan. This means an I will plead. This is in the context of Moses speaking to God, asking to see the land of Israel. And this portion talks about the cities of refuge. We have some instructions with regards to conquering the land, like we discussed. We're going to see many of those in this book. And we, of course, have the famous Ten Commandments and the Shema, the Hear, O Israel. Today, let's focus a little on what made the Sinai revelation so fundamental to our faith. So, biblical critics, they generally claim that there is a basic human need to talk about God and his revelation to mankind. And by claiming this really undermines the consideration of revelation as a historical fact, right? Because they're arguing that it's just a result of a human desire to connect with God, and the fact that he's revealing himself to man, this is an invention by man himself. Now, against these classic arguments, Moses, in our portion, brings us to a very important point when he says in Deuteronomy 4:32 through 33, ask now about the former days, long before your time, from the day God created human beings on earth, right? So here he's saying, search as far back as historical memory can investigate and comprehend. And then he adds, from one end of the heavens to the other, right? So throughout the whole entire world, throughout all the cultures, all the myths that existed, has anything so great as this ever happened? Or has anything like this have ever been heard of? Right? So search throughout the whole history of the human memory and see if there are any of these true or false stories that you might have heard. And lastly, he ends it with, has any people heard the voice of God speaking out of the fire as you have and lived? Right? So in other words, founders of other religions, even if they want to lie, would not base the foundation of their religion on a revelation to an entire nation. And if only for the simple reason that they risk having that same nation denied that happened. Right. So, for example, the Mormons claim that Jesus appeared to the Native Americans around 1,000 years ago, but they don't remember it anymore. So, to claim a revelation to a whole nation, you have to ensure that that nation doesn't exist to refute it, and that's the only way you'd only risk making such a claim. And this teaches us that the idea of God revealing himself to a nation is not really natural for the human mind to think of. Really, on the contrary, the human mind dismisses this idea from its consciousness. And while one might think that God could reveal himself to an individual privately, this is not the case for an entire nation. And from this, we arrive at the implicit argument, right? If such a story doesn't exist among people, even though it could not have served those who invented those religions, it indicates that the human mind is not inclined to imagine such a thing. And something that is unimaginable would not be said unless it actually occurred. Right? So this is precisely where the validation of the historicity of the events lies. Or only ones who actually claim that God speaks are those who say he spoke to them and proving the truth in their own words. Right? So we who believe in revelation and still yearn to hear his word should find comfort in knowing that his words are still reverberating. And we only need to pay attention and listen closely to be able to hear his words and see his glory in this world. I wish us all a Shabbat Shalom. Take care.